I'm going to hold your hand with an industrial paper
my
towel when
God,
I tell you
bro.
that your comments
Hell no, man.
nose ring
What the
theory
fuck, man?
are really
Get your ass on, bro. You get your goddamn ass on.
Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter 367. It is the third day of the week, aka the Spirit Bomb workout. I am feeling pretty good right now, very excited for this workout. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Nose ring theory, or as I would like to refer to it as, is uglification theory. Basically, the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because obviously I think that if you've been living under a rock or just don't post on, don't go on the social medias, you will know that there is a thing going on, at least now, where people with septum nose piercings are being told nose ring theory, that they're basically crazy and that you can see it. As I like to put it, why are you wearing your trauma on your nose? But we'll get to that later. Now, the reason why I wanted to also kind of mention the uglification theory here is because I also wanted to add in the dyeing of hair, extreme colors, and those type of modifications to the body and stuff like that. Because it's only this type of modification these are the two that always signify something, which is interesting, and they kind of go hand in hand, weirdly enough. But I wanted to talk about it today because of the significance that both of them have, which is interesting that they both have a significant, tell almost, which is weird because a lot of other piercings and things like that, not nearly as much, except for one. There's one exception, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Besides that one exception, because there's really two, but that one is a little bit more hidden, and we'll talk about that later. These two factors are very interesting because they're kind of indicative of what a person is trying to show out into the world, and in reality what they're showing them is, I am a victim, I am trauma, here is my trauma, and it's very interesting. Now, some people think that it looks good, some people think that it's empowering. I actually have no idea why they get it, personally. I get it metaphysically why they probably get it, but I don't get it personally. I think it's not necessarily a great look for most people. I don't think so. It's very rare a person that can pull it off, but they have to have a certain look. And this also goes with the extreme hair. Depending on the person, it can really, really be bad or decent, but it's always decent. It's never necessarily great. You know what I mean? I've never seen damn, that's great blue hair. You know what I mean? There's great natural hair, there's great redhead hair, obviously, but there might be naturally like that, so that happens. But these types, I don't think it's as much of a common thing to say, that's what I'm talking about, that's the hair, that's the purple hair that's hot. It's very rare, I would say, 100%. Very, 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 very low percentage chance that it actually works out for people. But they're kind of in the same boat in the certain senses. So we're going to talk about that and a few other things, plus the hidden one, and a few other things when we get to Mother Base.
All right, so started this day off with 80 press, which is pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Nose ring theory, or uglification theory. So the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because this has been an ongoing trend that I think that a lot of people have noticed, is that for some reason, particularly when it comes to nose ring theory, it's the septum piercing, which is the one that is the most commonality between all of these people, where for some reason, people who get septum piercings always have very strong opinions about things that in reality makes them unlikable, more likely than not. This isn't even just for women, but also men as well. But you see this very much with women. Generally speaking, I think it's a uglification thing. Now, you may be asking, what's uglification theory? Well, the theory I have is that uglification happens in multiple facets, but I think that people will turn themselves into a uglier person because they think that way they are going against whatever standards are built upon in society, not realizing that, hey, now people have less of a reason to listen to you, but also as well, it is some type of escape or from the soul, really, that's trying to get out, but in reality it's trying to destroy the soul rather than actually beautify it. I think that most people can agree that there are certain hairstyles and certain piercings that might look good on someone, but in theory they would also just look better without it. I think a majority of them wouldn't go into the positive with a lot of those. It would just stay the same, I think, in many cases. I don't think that is necessarily the most accurate. So I think that when it comes to something like nose ring theory or uglification theory, it's a combination of the body, mind, and soul trying to get itself into a worse position than it was before. You see this all the time, and I think that nose rings are the septum piercing. The septum piercing in particular is a very much the Oedipus of this idea, where you are now becoming almost a cattle-like person. You aren't even a person anymore because your mind has become so ugly that you have to represent it outside into your body. And I think a lot of people do that. I also think that a lot of people end up getting that particular piercing because they've gone through some trauma in their life. And I always like to say this with my wife all the time, is when I see people like that, it's like, oh, you're wearing your trauma on your nose, which is most of the time with these types of people, it's true. They are just expelling themselves out there for some reason, because it takes a little bit of a screw loose or two in order to get, certain types of piercings. Speaking about that, the other type of person that would get a screw loose type of piercing is the tongue piercing. I don't think that I've ever met anybody or seen anybody that is a regular, normal person that would get a tongue piercing. I think tongue piercings are the next level when it comes to piercings, because you are basically displaying to others that you are crazy or some screws are loose. It's not anything to scoff at, because that shit is crazy. But also, I know now that you are very weird and or not to be trusted as much as you could be if you didn't have it. Now, not to say that they are necessarily bad people, because this is the other thing about this too, is that most of this stuff isn't a good or evil thing. It necessarily, because they may be ugly in the soul because they might be having past traumas that happened to them, of course, but it's just their way of processing it. It's not anything like I'm going to sit there and just be like, you're evil for doing this. Now, I don't think it's good personally to be doing these types of things, because you should correct the mind. The mind and the body and the soul are all representatives of each other. So you want to layer them in a good way together. But in this case, this is something that has happened to them more likely than not, that has affected them spiritually, that they have to accentuate on the outside world. And I don't think there's anything necessarily evil about that. I just understand that these people, when they come out, it's kind of like they are held down by something from the past or from their life experience that they won't let go from it. So because of that, it's like, okay, I can disregard you a little bit more, because you can't have a regular conversation with you, because you'll always have these feelings coming up or resentments from the past, which is understandable. That just happens. And of course, this is just another example of the fact that physiognomy is real, and you can change your physiognomy depending on what's happening in your life. So the more you represent certain things like the past that you never got over or never were able to process correctly, you basically uglify yourself and just become more of a goblin-esque version of yourself. And like I said, it's not like it's good or evil in necessarily the regular sense, but more so it makes me not regard your opinion as much, because it's telling of what your mind and soul look like, because you've changed your body so much.
And oh my god.
Oh, I got it.
Oh fuck, I like it. God.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped, also none. Got everything in, thankfully. But anyways, to the main subject matter at hand today. Nose ring theory / uglification theory. So the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because this is an ongoing trend, and I think that more people are slowly waking up to the idea or the hideousness of these types of things that are just compounding outside looks in order to either look as ugly as they do on the inside on the outside, or just some weird type of like, I must show my trauma to everybody rationale that they may or may not have, which is kind of weird. I don't personally get it in a certain sense. Like, I mean, I understand why people do it, but it seems kind of idiotic. It's almost as if you're putting a bullseye right on your nose and on your head, saying, do not take everything I say with a grain of salt because I have a certain vision out the world. Really, it's like a very particular style of person, as well as the tongue piercing, as I alluded to earlier. That is another one that is also kind of like, it is a specific type of person that gets that has a couple of screws loose. Not in a different way, specifically the tongue. That one's a little bit looser than the rest of them. But with that being said, it's not like these people are necessarily all bad. Some of them just want to do it for whatever weird pleasure they might see in it, for the attention or whatever. But a lot of the time, I think it's only that is the bare minimum that it could be. Everything else is worse. There is no better reason. There's nothing that they're going to gain from doing something like this. So they aren't going to be hotter because they have a septum nose piercing all of a sudden. It's not gonna happen. I'm 100% sure that's not gonna happen. They may seem hotter to themselves, but then again, that doesn't necessarily even matter, because now because you had the thought to get that piercing in the first place, you have forfeited your perception as being decent. So then that way you've kind of exchanged the two. So it's very interesting when you look at it like that. And it's kind of like a marker saying, hey, just don't listen to me. But a lot of people don't want to accept that and or think that it's normal, it's fine, it's whatever. I personally just don't see it. It's not my thing. Other piercings, other nose piercings, eyebrow, all that stuff might have different connotations and meanings, but they're definitely way less of a connotation than the septum nose piercing. It's something about that. Very visceral, animalistic almost. It's very interesting. Bull-like, if you would say. Makes me wonder where they got it from. But I think that I think as this progresses and becomes more of a cultural thing, or a cultural phenomena, the theory itself and being circulated, and thus people saying, hey, your nose ring theory perfectly, said, I think more and more people are going to get their nose piercings removed because of it, because it's going to be stigmatized via public shaming and comments section and everything like that. And hopefully, technically, that's what would be the best case scenario in these certain aspects. So, good. This is good in theory. So keep the nose ring theory going. Make sure people understand that we are going to listen to you less because of it. But with that being said, though, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. If you have any stories or anything like that involving somebody that you know who has a nose septum piercing, I would love to know your thoughts and opinions about that, and or anything like that. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there and stay cool. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.